Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking here, Rainbow Falcon here with the prime time before the Fallout. As ladies and gentlemen, we have a full lineup of cards for Fallout, as it's gonna be one phenomenal free preview. I can tell you right now, as we have the booking, as I'll tell you, it's fantastic. As in the first search, you can already see that we have Ronnie Patel take on Lee Valentine, as this is for the #1 contendership for the VWE Women's International title. Now, if I had pleasure to ask both women a couple questions, as I actually asked Ronnie a couple of questions earlier tonight. Questions such as, Ronnie, after your 4-way ladder match at Wrestle Series 6, how do you feel about being selected for the #1 contendership match at Fallout for the VWE Women's International Championship? This was her reply. What? That ladder match? That was craziness, I tell you. That was not wrestling. That was not Malayuda. That was insanity. Insanity, I tell you. I was not expecting that, but maybe I should have. With those meanies, horses, and Christina, or even my dear Canadian friend Ari. I've been learning how Canadians can be so polite, but very, very, very crazy. I do not like to brag, but anyway, back to my homeland. I was women's champion of all of India, where wrestling is pure and not full of this hitting and flying monkey insanity, and our title belts are not made out of cows. I know I am better and all of good karma, as I help to spread it to my opponents so that there will not be bugs or horses in their next life. And karma is good for those that selected me, as I know I will go on to win the Women's International Championship to help set the VWE on the path to goodness, humility, and infamy. Thank you very, very, very much. I went further to ask her, what are your feelings about being the reason that Roxanne is not on the show after her injury at your hands? Her reply was, ooh, you have more questions for me. I'm pleased to answer. Roxanne, she is the Red Queen. I feel so very, very, very sorry for her. So full of bad karma. I tried so much to help her, but the battle in her soul between goodness and badness, it must have weakened her in a way I did not expect. And I must defend myself against her attacks. So very, very, very sorry, and full of hope of her. I hope Roxanne is mending well. I went to hospital to see her, but she was having nothing from me. I sent her get well flowers and sweets. I hope soon we will work out together and get her on the path to goodness. We will meditate, have yoga, and have tea time that my guru Sanjith sent me from the home. And then the last question that I asked her was, knowing that your opponent is going to be Lee Valentine, a veteran wrestler here at VWE, what is your strategy to take her down? Her reply was, Miss Lee Valentine. She is a formidable opponent, one I respect and look up to. I know she has been a great champion, part of the storied history that makes the VWE so very, very, very wonderful. Did I mention how very, very, very happy and honored I am to be here with you? I am so very, very, very happy and honored to be here. But I have been seeing Lee fly like monkeys in the jungle, and all this hitting and kicking, my guru has been preparing me to counter this style. I must throw Lee to the mat whenever I can and weaken her legs. That will keep her from flying so much. I do not worry so much about hurting Miss Lee, as her Visalasthana, or her huge big breasts, will help cushion her fall as I slam her to the mat repeatedly, or if necessary, out of the ring. Back in my homeland, Lee has many fans because of her breast. My guru says it is because they resemble the full others of our most holiness cow, my relatives and friends that have passed on to the next life. Yes, I know I may lose some favor if I defeat her, but I must help her gain more good karma so that she may be cow in her next life. And perhaps she will thank me for the good karma by giving her the number of her plastic surgeon. I must go work out and meditate, so I must take leave of you. Thank you very, very, very much for speaking with me. Thank you for your time, Ronnie. as I asked Lee Valentine a series of questions. As I asked her the first question, which was, with her continuous winning streak, how do you feel about the #1 contendership match at Fallout for the VW Women's International Championship? Her reply was, "Where you see, Falcon, when I made my return, I let the VW audience know exactly what I intended to do this time around, which was finally get my hands on the biggest prize VWE has to offer, which is the women's title. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to obtain it just yet, and since I failed the first time around, unfairly, my ad, I will certainly be successful this time. I've defeated Ronnie before. I know what needs to be done to ensure another victory over her. I know she's also ready to face me, so I will definitely not let my guard down. I will come out victorious. I give you and my fans my word." I actually followed up on her question as I also stated that she was also inches away from winning the VW Women's Championship at Wrestle Series. Do you feel that you can finally win the big match when it matters? She replied with, "As I was saying in my previous question, I came very close to winning the Women's Championship. Izza has got to be one of the biggest, toughest, and most competitive opponents I've ever faced. And that's not to mention how intimidating and simply terrifying she is. She's proven to be mentally unstable, so you never know what she will or will not do when you're in the ring with her. I gave it my all, and I'm not ashamed to have lost that match. Disappointed, I can't agree with, however, I promised myself that if I ever get to face Isabel one more time, I will not accept defeat. I'll keep on fighting until my very own life is at stake." And the last question I have asked Lee Valentine was, "You have climbed over a hill to face the holder of the Women's International Championship. What is your strategy to defeat Ronnie Patel?" Her reply was, "Ronnie is a technical wrestler. She relies mostly on submission holds and grapples. I've personally faced numerous wrestlers that have mastered her strategies, and I've come out victorious time and time again. I can endure a lot of pain. I am highly flexible, and I will dare to say that I'm more than ready to go into a squared circle with her. I expect her to bring in her A game. However, as I've proven before, it will take a lot to keep me down, and there's something you definitely won't be hearing from me this pay-per-view, and that's the words, I submit." And that is definitely going to be one hell of an awesome match that we're going to see. Also, ladies and gentlemen, as I know that not only that we've been interviewing a couple of the wrestlers in the back, but we have also interviewed probably one of the most renowned and probably most controversial ref here at the VWE. I'm talking about Miguel Santamaria. This is what he had to say. Alright, so I'm just going to go right into it. So there's a reason why I also got you on this interview. But I'm just going to ask you a couple questions first. So what are your thoughts on the matches at Fallout?
They are all gonna be great matches. It's hard to point out which is gonna be the top match. Each one have a history of its own. So if I'm asked, I will have to point out that the Rick Rahara and the Red Wing one, because they're aside of a title on the line, there is also the mask and the identity of the Red Wing, which is a big thing because the identity of a hero is their biggest right.
Yes, that's right. That's the identity of a hero. It is pretty much their biggest fear. But I'm going to also be moving on because out of the matches this Friday, which do you think has become the most personal between the opponents?
That's a very tough question, but I would have to say the Maxine against Isabel, because the mind games Maxine have been pulling over Isabel, which can backfire on her at the end, awakening something she didn't want to deal with.
Alright then, just one last question. This is probably why I also got you on this interview. There's been some controversy between you and Derek Holt. So how will that fare for the match at Fallout?
Why did you have to ask that? Um, I just did what I had to do, and that was count to 10 because they were out, and I don't see any controversy. But I'm sure everything will be fine this next Friday because I already spoke to him and we already clarified things. So we are good.
Alright then. Well, gonna go right back into it, so catch you later. I've actually had the privilege to actually interview for the next match, which is for the VWE Grid Championship, which will be Jeffrey Fireguard will be defending his title against Vince Easterwood. These are what these men had to say. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Jeffrey Fireguard. Jeffrey, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Hey man, I'm doing great. I just got a couple questions here that's gonna ask you to go into Fallout. So, Jeffrey Fireguard, you have been undefeated ever since you regained the VWE Grid Championship. How do you feel staying as undefeated as you are?
In all honesty, it feels a little weird. I mean, it's been proven a couple times since I've gotten the belt. There's great talent on the roster, but it just seems like at the end, my determination has been able to push me just a little bit forward to get ahead of almost everyone that I've fought.
That's right. I'm sure that even staying undefeated, you still have been. It looks like that you have been one step behind Vince Easterwood. Do you believe you can break this streak of bad luck with Vince?
In all honesty, I believe. Well, I really can't say yes or no because me and Vince are, if you check the record books at the moment, we're both even 2-2 against each other. So honestly, at Fallout, it could go either way.
Alright then, but last but not least, man, with the history of you and Vince, what will be your strategy to take him down as your record stands even?
In all honesty, Vince as of late has been showing a little bit of a mean streak, and I guess at Fallout I need to stop holding back, stop being that nice guy, and show Vince that in the kid there's a little bit of a mean streak in me too.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's an awesome interview with Jeffrey Fireguard, as I've also had a chance to interview his opponent Vince Easterwood. As I asked a couple of serious questions of Vince Easterwood, as I asked him, what has made this change for you with this newfound change in your matches? As he replied was, you can only be pushed so much before you have to react, and you want to talk about being pushed to the breaking point. I've had to struggle and fight on my own most of the time I've been here to get anything. And when I showed signs of actually having something good come to me, someone else, whether it be another person on the roster or management themselves, would decide to push me back down. The worst of this started when Maxwell interfered and later went well beyond the bell to keep me down. Then, as much as I was working with Astron and held the tag titles, not only was I being disrespected by the roster even more with no one pushing to try to contest the belts, but management went so far as to dissolve the titles and push me away from Astron, using their pet Kieran at Maxine's side to make sure I got pushed back down yet again. All they did was make me even more determined and more focused on making my way up beyond what anyone would want to see happen. The only thing I've constantly been able to hold on to was my faith, and I'll prove how strong I am with my faith. As I went further asking Vince questions as in, with your change in faith, if you can call it a change in faith, what sin do you believe Jeffrey Fireguard has committed? And Vince replied with selfishness and greedy. Really. He said himself he was going to throw away our friendship for the title, which further sets me alone, despite the friendly rivalry we have had before. Now he's all for the title. And then I asked Vince the last question, which is, within your crusade against the VW Grid Champion, do you feel that he actually deserves his title? His reply was, really? What has he gone through to really deserve it? I've been around for nearly 2 years now, and what have I got to show for it? With everything I've had to endure, I should be the one wearing that belt. Not this new upstart kid who's barely been around a year, maybe, and hasn't had a fight so hard to get it. As that is going to be one very intense match at Fallout. As such, as I know that the Women's International Championship match is going to be on the line, as the Red Wing will be taking on Ray Carrara for the Women's International Championship. However, there's a stipulation that has been added, as if the Red Wing would to lose, she will not only have to take off her mask, but reveal her true identity. As I actually had I actually tried to interview Ray Carrara before. However, let's just say that the interview didn't went as well as like people. Ray Carrara, where you at? Hey, Ray, I got a question for you. I got a couple questions actually. It's about just doing an interview. Well, look, I just need to get the interview with my face, wait, medic. I've also had the pleasure to ask the Red Wing a series of questions, as I managed to find her while she was fighting crime. As I stated, with the recent strings of events between you and Ray Carrara, what is your frame of mind going into this match? Her reply was, my frame of mind is seeking out redemption for Hypernova. Ray Carrara is simply a villain that must be put down. Even if I have to lose myself, I must take her down, for the greater good of the VWE and for all of Phoenix Pass. I also went to further asking another question for the Red Wing, as I asked her what made her agree to the stipulation of placing her mask and her identity on the line. The Red Wing's reply was, to be honest Falcon, I don't know myself. I can tell you it's like something or someone deep down inside me wanted this match. I hesitate in answering that question at Primetime last week, but now I know for certain that I made the right choice. My mask and my identity are what make me. However, it is Hypernova that needs her mask more than I do. It has been weeks now since that incident with Ray and Nova. Ray Carrara has to be stopped at all costs. As I also finish off my series of questions for the Red Wing, as I asked her lastly, with Ray showing her brutal, vicious side recently, do you believe you can defeat Ray for the VW Women's International title? Her reply was, it's not a question if I believe I can defeat Ray Carrara, it's a must. This doesn't just go for the international title, but for Hypernova as well. This is the redemption that I will bring for Hypernova. Her mask, and taking away Ray Carrara's most precious prize in her possession, the VW Women's International Championship. At Fallout, Ray Carrara will know that it is time for justice. As that is going to be one phenomenal international championship match at Fallout. As speaking about our bombshells, ladies and gentlemen, as we'll be looking forward for the women's championship match at Fallout, as Maxine Darkwatch goes 1-on-1 against our current women's champion, Isabel. This is what Maxine has to say. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Maxine Kieran Darkwatch. How you both doing?
Just fine, thank you.
I'm Kieran Darkwatch.
Alright then, so I'm just going to go right down to the nitty gritty. So Maxine, with your strategy of playing with Isabel's mind with the big match come up for the women's championship, what is going to be your strategy in the ring when you actually face her?
Her strategy is going to be to win, because she's Mrs. Kieran Darkwatch.
Baby, really, my strategy is going to be the same thing it's been for the last couple months. Wear her down, break her down, get the win.
And I do you believe with the recent mind games you have been doing to Isabel, do you think that you have unleashed a monster within?
Doesn't matter if the monster's been unleashed, because she's Mrs. Kieran Darkwatch.
That's exactly what I want, dear Captain. That's exactly what I've been trying to do all along. Breaker, where?
Alright then, so one last question. This just out of curiosity. How did you manage to get your hands on those tapes?
That is none of your business. All you need to know is she's Mrs. Kieran Darkwatch.
Okay. So thank you for this nice interview. Going right back to the main people. So as well, I've also had a chance to try to interview Isabel, but I have to say I couldn't find Isabel anywhere. Regardless, I honestly value my life more to not, interview her, because I'm pretty sure that she would probably tear me apart. Nonetheless, I seriously, she's very intimidating. Also, I had the chance to actually interview one of our upstart rookies. I'm talking about Ren Blackheart, ladies and gentlemen, as he is like also a fellow commentator, but he is more in the ring, and I'm telling you right now, he's looking forward for Fallout. This is what he had to say. So, first question which I got is, out of all the matches you've seen and commentated, which do you feel will make the biggest impact at Fallout?
To be perfectly honest, I think the one that will make the biggest impact will actually be the World Heavyweight Championship match between Alexis Gant, Jackson Dune, and the current and defending World Heavyweight Champion, Derek Colt. The reason being is because they are going up against the most prestige championship in WWE history, and one man will be at the top of the mountain. The question is, who is hungry enough to reach the top of the mountain?
Interesting, and I believe that's also the match that you're also looking forward to the most?
Jesus. To be perfectly and bloody honest, I would have to say the match between Mr. Vince Easterwood and Jeffrey Fireguard, because when I look in the back and I see Vince, like, it's not Vince. I don't see him. That's not the Vince Easterwood that I know. And then to take on my brother from Baltimore, one thing that we know is that we never back down from a challenge. So that match, I guarantee you, will be a match that I am looking forward to.
And then last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, as we'll be looking forward for the triple threat match for the VWE World Heavyweight Championship, as Jackson Dune will be taking on Alexis Gant, who will also be taking on Derek Colt. That's going to be a phenomenal match nonetheless, but however, these are what these men had to say. Gotcha. So, what are your thoughts on being put into this three-way championship match?
It's awesome. Being in this match means so much to me. It's my opportunity to show that I can be a world champion and be on the top of this company, and be in this match with Eric, one of the best wrestlers of the world. It's really good. I have to do my best for win this match. And have also Jackson in this match. It's good. After Rest Serious, I can have another chance to face him. But this time I want to beat him.
Alright then, so just one last question for you. So, with your unlucky path that you have been having as of late with Derek and Jackson matches, what will set you apart this time to put yourself ahead of both Jackson and Derek?
Interesting question. For sure, we are different. To be honest, I don't think to be the best. For this is a very hard challenge for me. You ask what I can have more than them. Probably the agility and my high fly move. With this quality, I can give hard time to anyone. And this time I want to do my best. Don't happen every day to have the opportunity for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I don't want to let it go.
Of the hours of training you put in getting ready against your opponent, how do you prepare yourself against two completely different styles, such as Alexis Gaunt with his high-flying quickness and Jackson Duke with his big powerhouse brawler?
Well, you know, Big Babe, I spend 24/7 in the dungeon training on my Muay Thai and boxing. And there's no question about it that I'm going to go in there as the weak link, because I'm going to go in there and I'm going to start beating some asses with my high breeze style.
Oh, so you're going to do a hybrid style, alright. But I also understand that, you know, being the World Heavyweight Champion, you've been constantly getting targeted by Jackson Duke. Do you feel that he's entitled to face you in this match? Same thing as Alexis.
Oh, he has every right to do whatever to try to cash in that briefcase to take this belt away from the greatest of all time, Big Baby, because it ain't gonna happen. He can be entitled to do whatever to get this belt. The only way he's gonna get this belt is he's gonna have to get through me.
Alright then, well that's certainly something which I look forward to see. As just got one last question here. What is your motivation for issuing this challenge when you have no commitment in defending the title against either of these men?
Well, like I told Jackson, I'm just giving him the opportunity of a lifetime to have his shot at this belt. And if he's not capable of beating the greatest of all time at Fallout, then it just shows that he's a failure of trying.
Wow. Alright then, well Mr. Colt, that has been a pleasure, you know, getting this interview with you, as we'll be moving on. So I'm just going to go right into asking these questions. So with your recent attempts to cash in against Derek Colt, that has resulted in Alexius stopping you in every way possible. Do you believe you can defeat both Alexis and Derek Colt face to face?
I would like to think that I've faced bigger, better opponents than Alexius and Derek. I've been there with Derek before, and I've definitely have faced Derek. So the answer to that would have to be yes. I believe that I can beat Derek, and I believe that I can definitely beat Alexius and come out WWE World Champ.
Alright then, well, go along with that, with your run of success, what convinced you to bring back Miss Jessica Haikova as your manager?
Well, see, with all the changes recently, I figured that I needed to have a manager who has managed past champions, a manager that actually has a record of managing champions and helping people get to the top.
Alright then, so one last question. Who do you think is the bigger threat in the three-way match, or your biggest obstacle?
I think I'm the biggest threat. I'm the biggest threat. I have no obstacles. The only obstacle is me for Derek and Alexius. So that question should be more directed towards them, because I will be the one doing the damage, and I am the main threat in the match. Ladies and gentlemen,
thank you for your time, as this has been a phenomenal prime time before Fallout. As this has been your captain speaking, signing off. See you at Fallout on February 13th, ladies and gentlemen.